अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। पनाह लेता हूँ मैं अल्लाह की शैतान मरदूद से। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। शुरू अल्लाह के नाम से जो बेहद मेहरबान निहायत रहम वाले हैं। वमा अरसलना मिन क़ब्लिका इल्ला रिजालन नूही इलैहिम फस्अलू अहल ज़िक्रि इन कुंतुम ला तअलमून। और हमने आपसे पहले नहीं भेजे मगर ऐसे मर्द जिन पर हम वही भेजते थे, तो तुम पूछ लो याददाश्त वालों को अगर तुम नहीं जानते। We did not send before you but men to whom we inspired our revelation. So ask the people of reminder if you don't know. This ayat is among those ayat which prove that we have to follow our learned ulama, and which proves that taqleed and following the aimma is important, necessary, and to some degree extent it's regarded as wajib. Now, wajib sometimes a wajib is wajib in itself, and sometimes it's wajib because of some other reason. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one hadith, "Man alima al-ramya thumma tarakahu falaysa minna." Whosoever learns archery and then he abandons it, then he is not from among us. The Prophet ﷺ instructed that because in those days archery was one of the sources of struggling in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so just as that was wajib, this was also wajib. So archery in itself was not wajib at that time, but because it was leading to something which was wajib, which is i'la'i kalimatullah and uplifting the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so this was regarded as wajib as well. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned in one place that do not use 4 types of utensils because they were used some time ago for making intoxicants, wines. So why did Rasulullah ﷺ say do not use these for water as well, for any other drinks as well? Because it might have led to sharab and alcohol as well. So Rasulullah ﷺ said because wine and alcohol has just been prohibited, so stay away from wine and stay away from anything that could lead to that as well. So this is called tasabbub, sabab, reason, one reason which leads to another thing. Similarly over here, when we study the rules, regulations of Sharia, we understand that taqleed and following an imam may in itself not be classed as wajib, but because there is something else, which is following the Quran, following the hadith is wajib. And not every person, every layman, every human being, every Muslim does not have the capacity to understand the Quran and hadith in its full context. You might understand one hadith. I'm not questioning your intellect. But you might not understand the broad picture of the ahadith, and this is a duty of the imams, the mujtahideen, who go in-depth study, who research, who investigate, who experiment, who go inside details and then bring the masail out. So therefore, because following Sharia, Quran and Hadith is wajib, following that imam will be wajib as well, who has done that research and made that work easy for you. This is what is called wujub of taqleed. So following an imam is regarded as wajib from Quran, from Hadith, from this ayat, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ. Ask the people of knowledge. If you don't know, when you don't know something, ask them, they will explain to you. Allah Pak said, لَعَلِمَهُ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَنْبِطُونَهُ مِنْهُ. If some matter of affairs, a deen comes to you, then refer it to ulil amri minhu, the men with authority, and they will investigate it for you and make it easy for you. So you have to refer that matter to the people who are investigating it. This is from Quran. We look at the hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Iqtadu bil ladaini min ba'di Abi Bakr wa Umar." Follow the two after me, Abu Bakr and Umar. Follow in their footsteps. He didn't say follow my Quran, follow my hadith. He said follow these two. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam once said, "Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnati al-khulafa'i ar-rashidin." Hold on to my sunnah and the sunnah of khulafa'i rashidin. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Tamassaku bi'ahdi Ammar, wa ma haddathakum Ibn Mas'ud fasaddiquhu." He said in another hadith, "Satahdathu ashya'u fa ahabbuha ilayya ma ahdatha Umar." Things will come and new masail and new problems will arise, and the best solution will be that which will be offered by Umar radiallahu anhu. So Rasulullah is instructing that follow these ulama among my Sahaba. Now this is from the hadith, and if you move on to ijma', then the consensus of the ummah is that follow a madhab. I mentioned last week the geographical status of the Muslim community, where the Hanafis are, where the Shafi'is, the Malikis, the Hanbalis. So if you look at the consensus and ijma' of the ummah, it's on taqleed, following the imams. Number 4, qiyas. If you use your analogy, then you will come to the conclusion that following an imam is wajib, it's necessary, it's important, you can't do without following an imam. But we are going into details explaining this, why this is wajib. Let me explain in another way. If you look at the era of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he is alive, how do the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in practice on the deen? 3 ways. Number 1, either they go and ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Ya Rasulullah, can you please tell us what is Allah's command regarding this matter?" And he gives instructions, and they follow that. Number 2, they can't reach Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They ask the ulama of the Sahaba, and the ulama explain to them. Among the Sahaba there were ulama, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to instruct people that go and ask so and so person, and they would give ruling. Just as similarly, he had appointed Umar ibn Khattab as a qazi of Medina Munawwara, and people would go for their judgments and their small petty arguments to Umar. He would sort them out. He had said that Muaz ibn Jabal is the most knowledgeable with regards to halal and haram. وَأَعْلَمُهُمْ بِالْحَلَالِ وَالْحَرَامِ مُعَاذ ibn Jabal. He said, وَأَفْرَضُهُمْ زَيْدُ ibn Thabit. With regards to masail of miras, Zayd ibn Thabit is the most learned person. He said, وَأَقْرَأُهُمْ لِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ وَيُّ ibn Ka'b. The one who can recite the Quran in the most beautiful and proper manner is Ubay ibn Ka'b. So Sahaba ridwanullahi majma'in would go to these Sahabas who would explain the matter to them. There was an incident in Medina Munawwara, or in the suburbs of Medina Munawwara. A person working as a laborer committed zina with someone's wife. Now, when they came to know and everything was investigated, their mind was boggled, they didn't know what to do. So they asked some people among the community, and they said that, they gave the masla that your wife should do this, and she will be punished in this way, and the person who committed zina, he should be punished in this way. So the man said, that person is my son, so I have given his fidya 100 goats in sadaqah, and in this way his life can be saved. But then he said, ثُمَّ سَأَلْتُ أَهْلَ الْعِلْمِ فَأَخْبَرُونِي. Then I asked the people of learned knowledge, and they told me that this which you have done is wrong, and the correct procedure is that your son because he is not married, he is unmarried, he should be flogged 100 whips, and the lady, because she is married, she will be given the punishment of rajm and stoning to death. So the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam confirmed that what the people of knowledge have told you is the correct version. So there were people of Ahlul Ilm among the Sahaba ridwanullahi majma'in who would give the correct rulings, and people would refer to them. This was the second category. And number 3, they would use their analogy. Sometimes they don't know what is, and they don't have any Ahlul Ilm, so they would use their own logic. And then many times after that, they would inquire from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would correct if there was a mistake there. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave an order that everybody should pray Salatul Asr in Banu Qurayza. Now they depart, but on the way, sun is setting. So there is a difference of opinion among the Sahaba who are going to the place of Banu Qurayza. And some say that he meant that we should rush quickly, and we have rushed, we are going, we are hastening, but because we have to pray namaz on time, so we will pray namaz here. They prayed on the way. Others said no, it was his instruction to pray Maghrib, Salatul Asr over there. So even if it gets Qaza, we will pray over there. So they kept on walking. These guys, these people, Sahaba, they prayed their Asr here. They kept on rushed, and they got there early. But by the time they reached there, sun had set, Maghrib time started, and they prayed Asr first, then they prayed Maghrib. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was informed of both these actions, he said, both of you have done correct. Because both of you intended to practice on my command, on what I said. So these, they did their own ijtihad, and they used their analogy to practice on the ruling given by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We also get many examples like this. Some Sahabas were on a journey, and one Sahabi had an injury on his head, and the wound was open. So somehow it was being nursed. On their way back, that Sahabi, while he was sleeping, he had a wet dream, and he had to do ghusl and wash his body. So the Sahaba, they didn't know what to do. So they said that, well, you have to wash your body. And others said that, but if he washes himself and water goes in his through his head and inside the brain, he could die. So he said that, okay, I will do ghusl. He performed ghusl. When water went inside his body, he passed away, and they buried him on the way. When they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and inquired, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Oh, qataluhu qatalahumullah. Innama shifa'ul iyya su'al." Why did you give him such ruling? He could have done tayammum, and he could have been saved. His life could have been saved. If you didn't know, you should have asked. So Sahaba Ridwanullah Ajma'in, there was this third category among them who were not up to that degree of level of knowledge and ilm. They could have made mistakes. So among the Sahaba at that time, the way of practice was in these three manners. Now, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, from the three ways, one is gone, because Rasulullah has passed away. So there are only two ways left now. The people of knowledge and the people who don't have that level of knowledge. So it will be the duty upon the people who don't have that amount of knowledge to follow the instructions and rulings given by those people who have knowledge, like you see at the time of Sahaba, of Ahlul Ilm, when that masla of zina was inquired from them, and they informed of the correct ruling. So this is why we say that now among the Ummah, there are only these two ways left, that people will fall into either one of two categories. They will be either ulama and people of knowledge, fuqaha, who have learned, understood the deen, who have sacrificed their life for the sake of deen. You learn from them, you ask from them. And people who are busy in their day-to-day life, 9 till 5, they go to work, they have their family, and they don't have that time to learn and acquire that knowledge. So these people, the general public, they will have to follow the rulings and the justifications and the instructions put forward by ulama in light of Quran and Sharia. So this is why we say that taqleed is wajib upon the awam and the general public of the ulama. So this is some instructions with regards to taqleed and the role of the ulama with regards to the ummah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned great virtue for the ulama. He has said, "Innal ulama warathatul anbiya." Ulama are the inheritors of the anbiya. And the anbiya and the prophets did not leave in their inheritance dinar and dirham, monetary money. They left in their inheritance ilm and knowledge. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Faqihun wahid ashaddu ala shaytan min alfi abid." One jurist is more burdensome upon shaitan than 1,000 worshippers. Because worshippers can make mistakes and errors, but this faqih will correct their errors, and he will take care of them and inform them that this is the correct way of practicing. So that is why we say that ulama should be taken into, their views should be taken into account. They should be followed and obeyed. Following them is not going against Allah and His Rasul. Following them is following the Sharia. And this is what we are being told. Look, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is once asked a question that if some matter arises and we have no solution for that, what should we do? And he replied, "Shawiru fihi al-fuqaha al-abidin." And get instructions from the fuqaha who are worshippers. So this is why we say we have to follow the ulama and the reason for taqreed. Moving on, with regards to the four mazahib. Now, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, Sahaba, Tabi'een, during that era, there were many ulamas, and if you want to ask any question, you go to any area, there is an alim sitting in the masjid, you ask him, he will give you the reply, and you can act accordingly. But as time moves on, after nearly 200 years have passed, there are some mazahib which are established. Why are these mazahib established? Shah Abdul Aziz Muhaddis Dehlavi Rahmatullahi Alayhi has written one small risala with regards to the usul and the basis of the four mazahibs. He writes in there that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, and our aslaf, as-salafus salihun and al-mujtahideen saw that the basis of the Islamic rulings is either on the Quran or on the hadith. And within the ahadith, there are many ahadith contradicting one another. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave these instructions over a period of 23 years. So sometimes he gave one instruction, other times he gave another instruction, because of the need of the time, because of the necessity. So this sometimes boggled the minds of many people. Should we do this or should we do that? They couldn't know what to do. So mujtahideen made their in-depth research and went into the study, and they found a way out of this hayrani and this mind-boggling effect. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, he looked at the amal and practice of the people of Medina, and he kept that in front of him all the time. So whenever some injunction comes, he looks at the amal of Ahl Medina, and he based his madhab on the practice of the people of Medina, because Medina Munawwara was the place of hijrat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is where he gave his final instructions, and during his later on in his life, that was the place of his khulafa, and that was the place of the children among the Sahaba and the people of Ahl Bayt, the place where the wahi used to be revealed. So the people of Medina, they would understand the meaning of the wahi, the meaning of the Quran, the meaning of the hadith better than any other people. So Imam Malik rahmatullahi said that any hadith which comes, which is against the practice of the people of Medina, there will be some sort of ta'wil in there, some meaning in that, or it will be mansukh, abrogated, or it will be for a special occasion, or there will be some story, mahzoof behind it. Therefore, that hadith will not be taken into account. However, other ahadith and the practice of people of Medina will be taken into account. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi had many students. Among his students, Abdullah ibn Wahb al-Maliki, he was a great muhaddis. He stayed in the service of Imam Malik rahmatullahi for 20 years. And he says that, you know something, أكثرت من الحديث فحيرني. I learned plenty of ahadith, and my mind was boggled. I didn't know why sometimes it's like this in hadith, another hadith like this, sometimes this and sometimes like that. Couldn't understand, so I would all be disturbed. And if Allah had not saved me and rescued me through two persons, I would have deviated. I would have been led astray. One was Imam Malik, other was Layth ibn Sa'd. Allah saved me through these two. How? He says, because I used to go to them and put the ahadith in front of them, and they would explain that خُذْ هَذَا وَدَعْ هَذَا وَهَذَا يُعْمَلُ بِهِ وَهَذَا لَا يُعْمَلُ بِهِ. Take this, leave this. This is practiced upon, this is not practiced upon. So then things would come into full perspective, and I could understand. Both are hadith, but they would explain that this is the meaning. One of the students of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi says, I would go to the mashayikh of hadith and learn hadith from them. My mind would be boggled. I would come to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi, and he would explain the whole situation to me. فَدَخَلَ فِي قَلْبِي مِنْ بَيَانِهِ وَشَرْحِهِ النُّورِ. And when he would be speaking, then I could feel the nur coming into my heart upon his explanation. How he would combine all the hadith and explain the masla in full context. So this is how they used to explain the hadith. Imam Malik's madhab was based on the amal and practice of Ahl Medina. Moving on, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi comes after him. And Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, he studied in Makkah Mukarramah and then went to Medina Munawwara. He based his madhab and his research on the practices of both the cities, Makkah and Medina. Then he traveled to Iraq and he traveled to Egypt, and later on in his life he stayed in Egypt. So now when he traveled to Iraq, he met other learned ulama and scholars, and he found new ahadith which he had not learned the ahadith in Makkah and in Medina. So therefore, in his mazhab, in many verdicts, he changed his view. That is why in Imam Shafi's mazhab, you get many times qawle qadim and qawle jadid. That this was the qawle qadim, the earlier view of Imam Shafi, and this was the new and fresh and later on view of Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayh. Because when he moved on and he researched and he went through other ahadith, his views in many subjects changed. So this was the basis of Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayh's mazhab. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi alayh, he comes and he looks at ahadith, and his attitude is that he keeps all ahadith on their zahir, on their apparent meaning. He takes every hadith on its face value. And because there might be differences in the hadith, that's why you get many different verdicts and aqwal in the mazhab of Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. That Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he has two qawl in this masla. He said this and he said this as well. This could also apply and this could also apply. Because there are both types of hadith. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal's madhab is quite spread out, and in one masla he has 2-3 sometimes different aqwal in his madhab, because there are 2-3 different ahadith. For example, with regards to sajdah sahw, if someone makes mistake in his salah, then in the end he has to do sajdah sahw. Now should that sajdah sahw be done after saying salamu alaikum and then sajdah sahw, or should it be done before salamu alaikum? The Hanafi view is that first read your tahiyyat, say one salam, then go into sajdah sahw twice, and then read your tahiyyat, durood sharif, and dua, and then say salamu alaikum, salamu alaikum. And the view of Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi is that do your sajdah sahw before salam. That you read your tahiyyat, and then just immediately Allahu Akbar, go into sajdah, and the congregation go into sajdah qabla salam, before salam. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he has both views. Sometimes he say, if you make this mistake in salah, then you do it before salam. If you make this mistake in salah, then you do it after salam. He looks at the hadith, that in this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a mistake of leaving out qa'da at-tahiyyat after 2 rakats in Maghrib salat, and he stood up immediately for the 3rd rakat, and he did before salam. So he said, if you do that, then you do before salam. In another place, he made this mistake and he did after salam, so he said, you do after salam. So there will be 2 calls in the right of Imam Ahmad according to his research, his investigation. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, he comes and he looks at the hadith, and he sees that in some hadith are very, very clear in their ruling and command in order which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives. And he sees that the ahadith in Shariah and Ahkam are of 2 types. One are al-qawa'idul kulliyah, qa'idah kulliyah, general rule. That rule is set, established from ahadith, and everything else comes under that ruling. And number 2, al-ahkam al-juz'iyah, juz'iyah ahkam, separate incidents. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah says that in some ahadith we see that there are al-qawaidul kulliyah, general rulings. Huzur Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave a ruling. For example, he says al-ghunmu bil-ghurb, al-bay'u yatimmu bil-ijab wal-qubul, al-bayyinatu ala al-mudda'i wal-yaminu ala man ankar. These are rulings in ahadith. For example, you read al-ashbah wal-nazair, you get there a ruling al-umuru bi-maqasidiha. You get a ruling, al-yaqeen la yazul bi-shak. If you have a yaqeen, firm yaqeen regarding something, then doubt will not remove and eliminate that yaqeen and that firm belief. This is taken from the hadith wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked that a person feels some movements in his belly, does his wuzu break? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, no, until he hears some noise or he smells some smell. So he meant to say that until he is 100% convicted, he has conviction that his wuzu is broken, his wuzu will not be regarded as broken. So from that, this usul comes that al-yaqeen la yazul bishak. And beneath that qaida, many ahkam will come. Similarly, you get, say for example, al-bay'u la yabtulu. He mentions some qawaid. For example, al-bay'u yabtulu bi-shuruti al-fasida. That if you make a transaction, then that transaction will be nullified by any shart which is fasid. Any conditions you put inside which are wrong, then that transaction will be nullified. You get this usul from ahadith. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah says that these usul and rulings and general rulings will be in its place, and the juz'iyat will come under them. They will have some meaning behind it. For example, we get this hadith which says that Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu says, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam bought my camel from me, and I put a condition that, okay, Ya Rasulullah, I sell you the camel, but I will ride on it until Medina Munawwara. So this is a juz'i incident. But there is the general ruling that if you make a transaction and if you put in such conditions, then that transaction will be nullified. So this hadith, even though it's coming, but there will be some meaning behind it, some reason behind it, and that ruling will not be broken because of this single hadith. This single hadith, we will say there is some speciality for it, some reason behind it. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to be nice to him. He wanted to give him some gift and hadiyah. This was his mannerism. Because when he came to Medina Munawwara, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the money for the purchase, and and then he gave him the camel back as well. So he only wanted to give him a hadiyah, and this was a way of offering that hadiyah. So the general ruling will keep in its place, and it will not be broken by these juz'iyat. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah says that these are qawaid which are taken out from Quran, from hadith, not from our own pockets, from Quran, from hadith, and those qawaid will stay intact. And the ahadith which come, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَقْرَؤُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Read the Quran. Now this is aam. Aam means general. Read anything from the Quran. Now if a hadith comes and says that La salata illa bi fatihatil kitab, that your salat will be only valid with Surah Fatiha, then what will we do? We will keep that aam and general qaida of Quran in its place, and because of this one hadith, we can't say that Surah Fatiha is farz. We will say that Surah Fatiha can be wajib, but not farz, because farz is only qiraat. Farz is qiraat, reading anything from the Quran. If you read anything from the Quran, your salat will be okay. But if you don't read anything, your salat will be broken, it will not be counted. If you just keep quiet and you go in ruku, your salat is not accepted. But if you read anything, let's say Qul Huwallah, and you forget to read Surah Fatiha, your salat will be valid, even though you will have to do sajdah sahur, but your salat will be valid, it will not be nullified. Similarly, Allah Pak said, Farka'u wasjudu, do ruku', do sajda. So this is a ruling, general ruling. You have to do ruku', you have to do sajda. Now, having itminan and doing ruku' with tranquility and sukoon and slowly, this will not be farz, because the general ruling is ruku'. As long as you have done your ruku' and as long as you have done your sajda, your salat will be okay. But to say that you will have to have tamanina and you will have to have stay in your ruku', in your sajda for 3 tasbihat, and this is farz, like Imam Ahmad said, i'tidal and tamanina is farz, it will not be right. The general ruling of the Quran is ruku' sujood, which has been done. So tranquility and doing slowly, this will not be regarded as farz. It can be regarded as wajib or sunnat or anything, but not farz. Faraid in salat will only be the 6 or 7 faraids which I mentioned: takbir tahrima, qiyam, qiraat, ruku, sujood, and tashahhud, tahiyyat, sitting in the tashahhud. These are the only faraids. The others will be either wajib or sunnat. So the general rulings are taken from Quran, from hadith, and the juz'iyat which come, they go along the general rulings. This is how the Hanafi madhab was established by the mujtahideen. So we learn from there how the mujtahideen based their mazahib. Imam Malik's mazhab is based on Ahmad of Ahl Madina. Imam Shafi's madhab is based on the practice of Hijaz. Hijaz means Makkah, Medina both. And Imam Ahmad's madhab is based on looking at the verdicts and the apparent meanings of hadith. And Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi's madhab was looking at Quran, looking at hadith, taking them into full context, deriving some general rules and regulations, and according to that, adapting all the hadith according to the rules taken out from Quran, from hadith, not from our own pockets. So many masail, this will make things very easy for the people who take out masail after that. Imam Sahib rahmatullahi and his followers established these rules, qawaid, and even to this day and age, to this day and age, to take out masail, it becomes really, really easy from there. Like for example, Imam Sahib rahmatullahi and his fuqaha take out the ruling al-umuru bi maqasidiha, that everything is according to the maqsid and niyat. This is taken out from the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Now, this was a qaida taken out from Quran hadith. These days, we have a masla. Mobile phones. Can you keep in your mobile phones ringtones and music, and instead of music, azan, Qurani ayat, and nazam, naat, etc. Can you keep that in your mobile phone as your ringtone? Now you look for it in Quran, you look for it hadith, you won't get a straight ruling for it because there was no mobile phone 1400 years ago. So you have to follow the rulings. The general rule over there is al-umuru bi maqasidiha. So over here, what is your intention? That will be taken into account in light of innamal a'malu bin niyat wa innamal limri'in ma nawa. And when we look over here, the maqsad of music is to get some excitement and amusement. So music is not allowed, so you will not be allowed to keep musical tones in your mobile. With regards to azan, Qurani ayat, your intention might be good, but there is a risk of disrespect to them. In such a state that, let's say you are in the toilet relieving yourself and suddenly your mobile rings, somebody calls you, they don't know that where you are, and the azan goes loudly, there Qurani ayat goes loudly. Therefore, you will be causing some disrespect to the azan and the Qurani ayat. And similarly, you use azan and Quran for your own purpose. So you shouldn't use Quran and azan for your needs. So it will be better not to put azan and Qurani ayat in your mobile phone as a ringtone. It will be better to put some nazam or naat or something, okay? Or better still, just put some normal ringtone, or just beep once and then vibrate so you don't disturb others. This will be the correct way of using your mobile phone's ringtone. Where do we got all these from? From the ruling which is called al-umuru bi maqasidiha, which is taken out from innamal a'malu bin niyyat. So alhamdulillah, the fuqaha laid out the foundations and the bases, and from there you can take it out. You know, we have just been going through the elections here in UK, and 100, 200 years ago, those who made these rulings, they have established the rules and regulations with regards to the elections, and now people follow and go according to those instructions and the rules set down by the elders. So in every area you need some rules, instruction. You go in the medical field, there will be some rules, regulation by the medicals, and it is they who have established it, and they have the right, the professors and the high authority, they will change the rules, regulation where there is need. But the general attitude of the general doctors and medical council will be to follow those guidance and guidelines set out by and established by the general medical council. So similarly over here as well, the rules have been established, taken out from Quran, Hadith. Our duty is to follow them. If we feel that this Hadith is going against our Madhab, then don't say that I will go follow that Hadith. There might be something in that Hadith which you don't know. Your Imam knew the Hadith, but he left that Hadith for some reason. So don't follow that Hadith, follow what your Imam said. Now, you won't be going against Hadith because you are following another Hadith. Your Imam is also basing his research on Hadith. So you are leaving one Hadith and following another Hadith. That's what everybody does. Even if you follow the other Mazahib as well. if you follow, let's say, whatever Imam Bukhari narrated in his book with regards to Amin bil Jahr, with regards to Qiraat Khalf al Imam or Rafi Yadain, then you are practicing one hadith, but there are many other hadiths which you are leaving. So you are leaving hadith in any way. Whichever hadith you follow, you will be leaving many ahadith. That will, because ahadith are of different ways, and the muhaddiseen's way was to research, go in depth study, and then take the masail out. This is why we say that we have to follow a madhab and follow the rulings and masail and fiqhi verdicts and jurisdiction laid out and founded by the fuqaha and muhaddiseen. Now, this kept on going after the 200 years, 250, 300, 400 years, there were many mazahibs. And slowly, the mazahibs faded away, and only 4 mazahib were left behind. So today we have only the 4 mazahib. But say so we were speaking about how the mazahib were founded and how it was based. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, they did their research. Allah took the work from them. There were many other muhaddiseen during those time who put forth their studies. But slowly, their research and their madhab stayed within the books. Now, if you open the books, you will get their aqwal. Like Imam Awza'i says this, Sufyan Thawri says this, Abu Thawr says this, Ibrahim Nakha'i says this, Dawud Zahiri says this, Ibn Hazm Zahiri says this. But they had no followers left. After the 4th century, 400 years, they all faded away, and followers of these 4 mazahib were the only ones which remained. Why that? Why no other mazhab? It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows best why. Allah chose them. Allah spread these mazahib out. It's like, for example, Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah gives them an example. If a person has 10 sons, and they all grow up, they are nice, helping him, but the old man, his age is much longer than his sons. Now slowly his sons start dying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 of his sons die. And when he dies, he only has 4 sons left. And those 4 sons inherit his miras and his inheritance. So you can't say why only 4 left. But it's from taqdeer, from Allah, that the others faded away and they died. These were the 4 left. Allah left them behind. So similarly, the other mazahib, they faded away, and these 4 mazahib prevailed, and ulama investigated and researched according to the foundations laid out by these imams. And the 4 mazahib left. After 4th century, there were no other mazahib. Dawud Zahiri, who used to be really strict on Zahiri hadith, and he used to make real mistakes of holding on to Zahiri hadith. His mazhab, he had some followers, but they all faded away. He used to be strict on Zahiri hadith, make mistakes. For example, when the masla comes, if you want to marry a girl, then Rasulullah said in a hadith, go and look at her. So Dawud Zahiri said, well, Rasulullah said, go and look at her, so you can tell her to take her clothes off and then look at her whole body. Because Rasulullah said, unzur ilayha, go and look at her. So he did not use his logic. He said the word apparent in the hadith is unzur ilayha. So she will have to reveal her body and show you. But the other fuqaha said, no, unzur ilayha means just the face and the hands. Because by the face you can check out her beauty. By the hands you can check her age. That is she old or is she young? Has she wrinkles in the hands or is she young? So you can find that out by the hands. That is why these 2 are the place that you can look in light of hadith, in light of other hadith. Similarly, Dawud Zahiri used to make mistake, like for example, when Rasulullah said, one of you should not urinate in still water, in a pond, in a lake, because when that urine or that stool and that paikhana is there, someone else comes, then he will feel distracted from there. He will not be able to use that water. So he said, don't urinate there, urinate somewhere else. So Dawud Zahiri took the face value of the words and he said, you can't stand and urinate in there. However, if you urinated in your utensil and you poured it there, then that would be allowed. He said because Rasulullah said, don't urinate in there, so that's how you shouldn't doing it. But if you urinate in a utensil and throw it there, then it's allowed. Or if you urinate close by and the stream goes in the water, there's no harm in there. Now this, he was using logic. He just looked at the wordings. So those Zahiriyya who just used to look at the wordings used to make mistakes. Their mazhab faded away. But these ulama who had in-depth research, their mazahibs remained. And when centuries move on, if you look after the 4th century, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th century, you will see that all the ulama who come, great muhaddithin and scholars, they all followed a particular mazhab. We are, alhamdulillah, in the field of studying and teaching. We see the great mufassireens like Hafiz ibn Kathir rahmatullahi alayhi, Abu Abdullah al-Qurtubi rahmatullahi alayhi, Khazin, and others great muhaddithin, Ruh al-Ma'ani and other tafasir. They all followed a mazhab. Ibn Kathir was a Hanbali, or Ibn Kathir was a Shafi'i, sorry, and Qurtubi was Maliki, Khazin was Shafi'i. So these ulama, Tafsir Mazhari, Qazi Sanaullah, Panipati rahmatullahi was a Hanafi. So these ulama, they following the mazhab. Fuqaha, they all followed the mazhab. Muhaddiseen, among the muhaddiseen, in fact those muhaddiseen who wrote the books of hadith like Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, Abu Dawud, Nasai, Ibn Majah, they themselves followed a mazhab. Even though not in the strict form like we do, they had their own views, and sometimes they would lean towards hadith, but they used to follow the rules of a particular mazhab. Nawab Siddiq Hasan Khan said Bukhari used to like the study and research of Shafi'i, and he could be classed as a Shafi'i. Muslim, Shafi'i. Abu Dawud, Hanbali. He used to like the research and the base usul and rules laid out by Imam Ahmad, so he was a Hanbali. Imam Nasai was a Shafi'i. Imam Tirmizi, Shafi'i. Imam Ibn Majah, Shafi'i. So these muhaddiseen who have compiled the hadith, they themselves are following a mazhab. And they say that it's easier. In fact, the asatiza of these muhaddiseen, they also followed a mazhab. Like Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, and Waki' ibn al-Jarrah, Mis'ar ibn Kidam. These are great muhaddiseen whose names are mentioned in the chain of ahadith. They used to follow mazhab. يحيى بن سعيد قطان سفيان بن عيينة كان يفتي برأي أبي حنيفة. مسعر ibn Kidam كان يفتي برأي أبي حنيفة. Makki ibn Ibrahim, who is the Shaykh of Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi, from him whom he mentioned many of the Thulathiyat, he was a Hanafi. So these ulama, they used to feel safe in following a mazhab and the research, and because if they just take ahadith on face value, they could make mistakes. So they just didn't pick and choose ahadith. They said that these rules, regulation, and according to mazhab is easier for us. After that, other mazahib faded away after 400 years. These mazahib were left, and alhamdulillah, to this day, to just have to say 100 years before today, the mazahib were intact in that. And today we get these people who deny taqleed, who are classed ghair muqallideen, who call themselves Ahlul Hadith, who may call themselves Salafis. They say we don't follow any imam, any mazhab, we only follow the Salaf and we only follow Hadith. These uprooted maybe 100 years ago. And they came out from nowhere and have caused the chaos and confusion within the Ummah. Ummah was united and smoothly going along their life, day-to-day life, and following a madhab which was easy for them. Now they have boggled the mind of people and caused a great chaos and confusion among people. We have to explain to people that no, don't pick and choose from hadith, from Quran and hadith, any ayat, any hadith. You will be making mistake. I will explain next week how you can make mistake if you attempt to just follow hadith. Today, I just want to tell you some quotes from the learned ulama who themselves said that in this day and age, we should follow a mazhab. Let me tell you one quote from Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi. Well, first Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi, and Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlavi rahmatullahi alayhi. Some people say that Shah Waliullah Muhaddis Dehlavi said you shouldn't follow mazhab, but if you look in his work, you will find that he has said, he has written kitab Iqdul Jeed fi Ijtihad wa Taqleed. He says on page 31, اعلم أن الأخذ بهذه المذاهب الأربعة مصلحة عظيمة وفي الإعراض عنها كلها مفسدة كبيرة. Know that in holding on to these four mazahib, one of them, there is great wisdom, and in turning away from there is great fasad and chaos. On page 33 he says, ولما اندرست المذاهب الحقة إلا هذه الأربعة كان اتباعها اتباعا للسواد الأعظم. When the true mazahibs faded away except for these four, so now following these four mazahib is following as-sawadul azam, the consensus and the majority of the Muslim ummah, which is classed as ijma'. So it is ijma' of ummah upon following one of these four mazahib. He says on page 29, لأن الناس لم يزالوا من زمن الصحابة إلى أن ظهرت المذاهب الأربعة يقلدون من اتفق من العلماء من غير نكير من أحد يعتبر إنكاره ولو كان ذلك باطلا لأنكره. He said before these mazahib came, people used to follow and taqleed of the ulama who were there, and nobody said, why are you following such an alim? If it was wrong, they would have said that this is wrong. Nobody said following an alim is wrong. So following ulama is important, necessary. Imam Baghawi rahmatullah alayhi writes, ويجب على من لم يجمع هذه الشروط تقليده فيما يعين له من الأحاديث من الحوادث, that it is wajib that who does not have all these conditions and who does not have full knowledge of Quran Hadith, then he should follow a person who had full knowledge and who explained that to us. And he says, moved on, وبالجملة Shah Waliullah says, فالتمذهب للمجتهدين سر ألهمه الله العلماء وجمعهم عليه من حيث يشعرون أو لا يشعرون. Following the mujtahideen was a sir, a raz and a secret which Allah inspired into the hearts of the ulama and gathered them on following the mujtahideen in a way which they perceive or they do not perceive. They realize or they do not realize. Allah somehow gathered them on there, and there is great maslihat in there. Let me mention something from Khatib Baghdadi rahmatullahi alayhi. Very nice quote. He says in Al-Kifaya that know that the masail of deen fall into one of two categories. One is masail which are explicitly clear in the Quran Hadith, and you follow the Quran Hadith in there. For example, 5 namaz, Ramzan's fasting, Hajj once in a lifetime, Zakat is fard. These are farz, everybody knows. Zina is haram, alcohol haram, ghibat haram, stealing haram, everybody knows this. So we will say that Allah said in the Quran that this is farz, this is wajib, this is farz, this is haram. Allah's Rasul said that this is necessary. We won't say that Imam Abu Hanifa said 5 namaz is farz. We won't say Imam Shafi said roza is farz. We won't say Imam Ahmad said zina is haram. Allah has said, Allah's Rasul said, because these masails are clear. But after these farais, there are some details in there. In salat, from starting salat Allahu Akbar to finishing salam, you will get 200 masails. How to raise your hands, where to tie them, how to start your salat with Sana Subhanakallahumma, Auzu Billah, Bismillah, Surah Fatiha, Surat, how to perform your ruku, what to read in ruku, how your posture should be, how to raise your head, and what to say after raising your head, and how to go in sajda, what to say in sajda, and what is the correct posture of sajda. Now these are detailed masail. Now these will be established through research. So in there you can say that Imam Abu Hanifa said you have to raise your hands to your earlobes, and Imam Shafi's research is that you have to raise your hands to your shoulders. And you can say that Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah said that Surah Fatiha is wajib, but Imam Shafi said that Surah Fatiha is fard. And you will say that Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah said that tasbih of ruku is sunnat, and some other alim said tasbih of ruku is wajib. So this is in these detailed masail, you can quote the second type of masail in which there is in-depth studies needed. In that you have to follow the research of the ulama and follow them. And this is what is mentioned. Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi's quote. Moving on, he says in Ihya al-Ulum on page 35, Jil 3, وَإِنَّمَا حَقُّ الْعَوَامِ أَن يُؤْمِنُوا وَيُسَلِّمُوا وَيَشْتَغِلُوا بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ وَمَعَائِشِهِمْ. The duty of general public is to believe and to submit and to be busy in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and busy in their day-to-day livelihood, earning their livelihood in their jobs, money, day-to-day life. وَيَتْرُكُوا الْعِلْمَ لِلْعُلَمَاءِ. And their duty is to leave the ilm and knowledge for the learned people, for the ulama. He moves on to say, listen very carefully, فَالْعَامِّيُّ لَوْ يَزْنِي وَيَسْرِقْ كَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ مِنْ أَنْ يَتَكَلَّمَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. A general person, a layman, if he commits zina, if he steals, that would be better for him than speaking with regards to some ilm and knowledge, learned masail. Why? فإنه من تكلم في الله وفي دينه من غير إتقان العلم وقع في الكفر. Because if someone does not have proper knowledge and he starts talking about deen in Quran and Hadith, then he could fall into kufr. He could become a kafir. His condition is like min haythu la yadri. He won't even realize that he's becoming kafir. His condition is like someone who jumps into the ocean sea and he doesn't know how to swim. So he's going to die. So similarly, Imam Ghazali Rahmatullah Alayhi says that for a layman to do something zina chori is better for him than talking about Quran and Hadith, because he doesn't know Quran and Hadith properly. He could fall into kufr. So this would be better for him than doing that. Moving on. You know, in this day and age, you get many people who are called ghair muqallideen. Let me just finish off by quoting one quote from Maulana Hussain Batalvi, who was about maybe say 100 years ago in India, and he was a leader of the ghair muqallideen who called themselves Ahle Hadith. And he had a deep conversation with Hazrat Maulana Qasim Nanotwi Rahmatullah Alayhi some time ago, and he was convinced by Maulana Qasim Nanotwi Rahmatullah Alayhi that it is necessary to follow mazhab. Later on in his life, he said this: 25 बरस के तजर्बा से हमको ये बात मालूम हुई है कि जो लोग बावजूद बेइल्म होने के मुजतहिद की तकलीद छोड़ देते हैं, वो बिलाखिर इस्लाम भी छोड़ देते हैं. उनमें से बाज ईसाई बन जाते हैं, बाज लामजहब हो जाते हैं, जो किसी मजहब के पाबंद नहीं रहते, अहकाम शरीयत से फिस्क और खुरूज. तो इस आज़ादी का अदना करिश्मा है. इन फासिकों में से बाज तो खुल्लम खुल्ला जुमा, जमात, नमाज, रोजा छोड़ बैठते हैं, सूद शराब से परहेज नहीं करते, और बाज जो किसी मसलहत दुनियावी की वजह से फिस्क ज़ाहिरी से बचते हैं, वो फिस्क खफी में सरगर्म रहते हैं, नाजायज तौर पर औरतों को निकाह में फंसा लेते हैं. कुफ्र और इर्तिदाद और फिस्क के असबाब दुनिया में और भी बहुत से मौजूद हैं, लेकिन दीनदारों का बेदीन हो जाने का बड़ा सबब ये भी है कि वो कम इल्मी या ला इल्मी के बावजूद तकलीद मजहब को छोड़ बैठते हैं. बहवाला सबीलुर रशाद पेज 10 फतावा रहीमिया 131 जिल्द 6. समझ पड़ गई? He is saying that after 25 years of my experience, I have come to the conclusion that those who have no knowledge or little knowledge and abandon the following of a particular madhab, then slowly they abandon Islam as well. Some become Christians, some have no madhab, and many of them go into fisq and a life of transgressing the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of them just abandon Jummah and Jamaat and Namaz and Roza, and they go into Sood and Sharab and they don't avoid them. And others who avoid them because of some dunyavi maslahat and reason, they go into a secret fisq khafi, like for example performing nikah with ladies in a najaiz way and haram way, taking them into their nikah. And he goes on to say that the asbab and the reasons of kufr and irtidad and apostasy and fisq and fujur in dunya are many. But one of the main asbab and reasons is that people become bedeen and go out of deen because they have no knowledge and they abandon taqleed, and then they follow their own desires and whatever they feel they do. And this is true, and we have seen these types of people. I know myself a person who was a person from our Gujarati community in Bolton, and he fell into some of these people's hands. And slowly he started doing this Rafiya Day and Amin Bil Jar and going into there. Then he went to study somewhere in another country, and when he came back he had ajeeb views. He used to say that, what type of Rasulullah is this? Sometimes he's saying this, sometimes he's saying that. No. Is he a Nabi? Is he a Prophet? Why did he say this and why did he say that? There are contradictions in his words. And Na'uz Billah, he went on to marry a non-Muslim, a Yahudi girl, and he's gone out of the fold of Islam. Because of these objections, his iman no longer remained with him. No. So this is what Maulana Hussain Batalvi is saying, that you have to follow an imam and stay within the mazhab. Otherwise, you know the perils and you will fall for that. May Allah protect our iman and give us correct understanding of the. So, next week, inshallah, some objections of the non-muqallideen, and then we will finish the topic.